Hello, people, and welcome back to another episode of the Outer Bounds podcast. We are here with Sam and Kojo. How we doing?
I'm all
I'm
good,
great,
bro, man.
man.
How you doing?
It's been a good weekend.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Chelsea did embarrass me yesterday and stuff. With San Caicedo, with Duncan and Liverpool all over the park. I mean, it might be good stuff to come. Might be good stuff to come. They said I was crazy when I predicted Chelsea to finish third last week, but maybe I knew something they didn't. Maybe I knew something they didn't. But I said it's been an interesting week of sports, so we're just gonna get through all of it. I mean, as I said, Premier League started this week. Joshua boxed on the weekend. James Harden's tweaking and stuff like I don't even know where to start at this point. But as I said, we'll just start with the Premier League. Obviously, City opened us up and they beat Burnley 3-0. In the runner up, Arsenal they won as well 2-1. Even though I didn't watch the game. But then looks like Timber's down as well. What did you guys make of the opening weekend? Is there anything you could read into it? Or was it just standard?
I think it was kind of standard. If I'm being real with you, obviously I never kind of looked too much into the first games because obviously it's just match day week one. You're coming off a very short preseason, so obviously players gonna be a bit not to full sharp, more full match fitness. So never take it too seriously. But nevertheless, I thought there was some very good games. Obviously, last night Super Sunday, Chelsea Liverpool. I think that was arguably the best game of the weekend.
Yeah.
Brentford Tottenham was also a good one as well. There's a bit of a pre-match chaos, obviously, water supply getting to the stadium, so built up a bit of a opening week drama. But yeah, I thought there was some couple good games. On the weekend, obviously Burnley's performance. I think for me, Burnley, I was very impressed with them because I didn't really watch them in the Championship like that. So I was impressed with how they played and how they looked against City. Even though they did lose 3-0, but I think they showed a good account of themselves. But again, it's a match they won, so I'm not gonna hype them up and say that I think they're definitely gonna stay up. We just gotta wait and see. But I think it was standard still. We've got to roll on to match day 2 and see what happens, isn't it? So
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, similar to like Kojo was saying, I think it was kind of standard. Like as a City fan, I didn't think like, we would struggle,
Since
but I just
09.
look, what's that?
I said since 09, but continue.
Nah, bro, from time ago. No, like obviously Burnley's always been a tough place for anyone to go. So I didn't think we were gonna struggle, but I thought it might be tougher than it was. But I think we kind of handled business as we should. 3-0 victory was good. Haaland's second goal was a banger. And look, Haaland just continue where he left off last season. So that was that. Brighton really impressed me in terms of how they play. We know De Zerbi ball is wavy. And all the clouds under them in terms of losing players, the Caicedo situation, and they handled that well. Another team that surprised me that I was really impressed with was Newcastle because everyone had Aston Villa being, one of those teams that were going to perform well this season. And how they ended last season, everyone was saying, okay, cool, that's going to be a tough game. I did probably expect Newcastle to win because at home and at St. James's Park, it's a fortress. You've got the crowd there. That helps. But I probably thought they'll win 1-0, 2-1. But a 5-1 drubbing was mad. And obviously, Isak, as usual, if he can stay fit, he's going to score goals and he's going to eat. Harvey Barnes, adding him to the team, just gives him that extra dynamic after St. Maximin's gone. And yesterday, Super Sunday was a good game. At first, it was a chess match. But Chelsea kind of stepped up. Enzo, Boston midfield. When you look at it, that's been a very good signing. And obviously, the profile of players that Chelsea are bringing in are young, but it seems like they're building a good team. So let's wait and see. You got Poch in there as well. And Liverpool, like Richard said, they've been dunked on twice now because Caicedo turned them down. Now Lavia's turned them down. And we saw yesterday the lack of a DM did kind of affect
them. Turn them down.
Exactly. Bellingham, a whole lot of people. So yeah, we saw yesterday that a lack of a defensive presence in midfield. Chelsea had a lot of runners just going by Trent and McAllister. So they're gonna have to identify that and kind of figure out who they're gonna get as a DM. But overall, it's kind of expected.
Okay, so let's talk about that game yesterday because obviously, I did predict that. Obviously, I said Liverpool will finish second, and I said if everything clicks for Liverpool, I felt like they could be the team to rival City. And I'm still gonna stand by that for now. But I think it's also one of those things. Whereas I also feel like if things don't click, they could be in big, big trouble because,
Mm.
as you said, this was a Chelsea team that I wouldn't say we weren't playing at full strength. I think we were playing one of the best things we could play with the players we had available, given like and Cuckoo's out, Caicedo hasn't come in yet, and all sorts. But then at the same time, McAllister as a DM just was not it. Or playing at the deepest out of the midfielders wasn't it. Because then you also had Gakpo playing the other one, and I can't seem to say his name, so I'm going to use to slander his name. SpongeBob. Like all of them,
Is that
it
Slubbit
was
side?
like
Yeah, I can't say his name. Yeah,
yeah,
apologies.
but it was one of those things whereas obviously for the first 10 minutes, I felt like there were not nerves from Chelsea, but we started off a bit slow, especially with Disasi and all those guys, the new signings, they seemed to be a bit shaky. But when we grew into the game, it was like Enzo, I think is a baller anyways. Like
Mm.
I thought he's worth the 105 mil. In fact, send Benfica 200 million more for the
I
player
saw you.
that
I
we
saw you
just got
like, give him an extra 100 million. I said, this guy's tweaking, but I hear it.
give him 100 more million. But then I've never seen Enzo to be the kind of ones to be also doing like the third man runs or the late runs into the box, but was able to do that because McAllister couldn't track him because he's meant to be further forward of the pitch. And it was kind of like I think one of the issues that we had with Chelsea last year, whereas Enzo was playing the deepest and he's not a DM, so it was easy to get ran by. So I feel like if Liverpool don't desperately address that issue, even though now the two potential targets are going for have both chosen Chelsea, they could be in serious trouble. I think obviously Kanata and Van Dijk they held it at the back, but also Jackson was giving them a run for their money as well. And he was more clinical, especially in the first half, than he could have bagged as well. So I don't know. There's positives to take from Chelsea. Hopefully we don't play the formation again because we've been doing for the back all season, and I feel like we've signed too many attackers and stuff to start benching them. Like I would like to see more of Mudrick, Noni, and all those guys, but there was positive to take away from Chelsea, and I feel like there's worries for Liverpool.
Two things quickly. Shout out to Sterling. I think that's the best game I've seen him in a Chelsea shirt yesterday.
Yeah.
He played really well. He was like again because McAllister is not used to being the deepest midfielder playing as a six.
Yeah,
Sterling was able to get in the half spaces and he was just running riot, getting in crosses, whipping it in.
yeah.
He played really well. But
But he
also,
can't be a man anymore, though. I'll say that. I think he
was that
played well. I think he
Yeah,
played well in terms of his link-up play, but one-on-one, trying to be a man, he just
yeah.
don't got it no more, man.
I agree. I agree. I don't think it's the same Sterling that we saw at City. And I feel like for me, he started slowly. He kind of grew into the game and got better as the game progressed and went on. But I don't think he was from minute one like
no,
you
Yeah,
were
no, no,
saying
not,
over.
not a minute
And
one,
he's
but
the man challenge.
you can see he was starting like you said, after like 10 minutes, he started building. Because to be honest, in the first 10 minutes, Chelsea was shaky too. Don't get it twisted. So it's only
Yeah,
after that where he started building that relationship, that link up play with Reece James on the right, where they performed well. But also, you Chelsea man, if that was Trent that conceded that goal, you man would be getting at Trent that you can't defend. Start talking about Reece James, man, and he's always injured as well. Tell him to fix up.
he was tired
yeah,
actually. He
obviously
was,
you got to give the criticism. Do you know what I'm
but
saying? It's fair.
he bought that yesterday. You
Yeah, but
saw
he
who the
caused the
first
goal
player
though.
was,
He
huh?
caused the goal. If he tracked back Diaz, he wouldn't have scored. But he was there slowing down,
Or
chilling, doing
Apparently,
Davido
well, I
stuff.
mean,
apparently, I heard apparently Poch said he was tired. Do you know what I'm saying? Which is
yeah.
like,
I think it was tight because I didn't see anything to say that he caused an injury as well. And his first game of the season, load management and stuff, even though
Wow.
he's only 23. But I mean, as I said, hindsight is 'cause I'm even watching the analysis from Jamie Carragher and them in the thing right
I'm
now.
watching it
And
now too.
yeah, and obviously you could also argue Colwell as well. He could have shown Salah more towards his right foot and stuff. And the line just didn't seem settled anyway. So
yeah.
but as I said, Reece
I'll be
James
real.
ball.
Like,
I
I
wait, can I
feel
just say
like,
one last thing quickly before I
yeah, go on.
hand over to you? I will say if there's one big worry for Chelsea
Mm,
is the way the low performance drops whenever Reece James comes off the pitch. Because after he came off, I felt like Liverpool got straight back into the game. I can't explain it why our right back dictates so much of the game, but I feel like once Reece James came off, the link up on the right wasn't as crisp anymore, and Liverpool were able to start I would say create chances will start pushing towards our goal again.
mm. No, I hate you still. my overall take in the game, I feel like for me, the first 40 minutes of that game, especially in the first half, I think Liverpool were the better team. And obviously the goal came, great cut play, great assist from Salah to find Diaz, and obviously that was a nice finish. And obviously Liverpool could have been 2-0 up, obviously narrow margins, obviously offside, VAR intervened, and obviously, they took away the goal, which was obviously understandable because it was offside. But I say from the 40th minute, I think we kind of grew into the game. I think Chelsea will kind of have a bit more confidence. You saw Fernandes kind of taking over. Obviously you got the nice goal, DRC. You saw how much they meant to him. So from that goal, I think we kind of controlled the game, and I think we looked at the team which were most likely to score. My only concern with Chelsea, it was positive signs. Obviously, the way how we got back into the game and the football we played, and just how Fernandes played, Sterling kind of grew into it and whatnot. But my biggest concern with Chelsea is that, is obviously Nkunku's out for 3 months, maybe 4. Is that it's like what we've seen with the previous years. Chelsea can create chances and play good football. That's never the problem. But it's scoring goals. Trying to say, like, there was a lot of chances where we could have won the game. There was a plethora of chances where we could have won the game. Nico Jackson, and he almost could have won.
What's a plethora? But I get what you're trying to say.
What you say?
I would say there was a plethora of chances, but I get what you're trying to say.
Well, not like proper like lethal chances, but half chances. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like for me, like if obviously first game of season, I'm not going to overreact and looking too much, but just the little things I got, which kind of gave me a bit of concern, slight concern, which obviously from the previous years is that we don't score enough goals, and we have no clinical goal scorer. And obviously, we thought that was going to be rectified with Nkunku, and it could be long term wise, but he's out for 3 to 4 months. If Chelsea ain't going to get a striker in, if Chelsea are going to, the aim is top 4, that's our aspiration. But if Chelsea feel like, why not? Because City are the only classic team above the rest in the Premier League, why not kind of believe in yourself or playing 1 game a week? Why not try to do your best to potentially go as far as you can and mount a title challenge? And you never know what could happen. Do you know what I'm saying? But if that's going to happen, Chelsea need a reliable goal scorer. So we need to kind of be, again, go look for a striker. It's good that we're getting Lavia and now Caicedo, so the midfield depth there and strong, and it's great, young midfield as well. But the goal scoring, you need a critical goal scorer. And I think to have the depth as well with Nico Jackson, which will grow into his career and develop, and obviously Nkunku Young coming back maybe around the summertime and whatnot, it'd be great. But you need a goal scorer right now, and having depth like the way City do is the only way you're gonna be around that level. Because I think Chelsea as a club, you need to be matching City, because we were that club 10 odd years ago, and we were setting the standard. We dropped it massively. So for us to get back to that, we need to kind of emulate what City did and just apply depth all over the team. So yeah.
I mean, I get where you're coming from, but one thing I would say, for me personally, unless you're gonna get Ivan Toney, who again he's not even gonna be able to play till January, I don't really think I'll sign a striker anyways, just for the simple fact because, as I said, you've got Jackson, you've got Broja, and it's one of those things you want to give these guys an opportunity to play and develop. Because I mean, I feel like in every title-winning team, when you look at the great Barcelona teams, the Man City teams, and the Madrid teams, you've got like at least 7 players that they know that they're playing week in, week out, no matter what, and then the rest are up for grabs. When you start having, and there's an issue, when you start having a lot of starters, it's good to have competition, but it's also good for everyone to know what the roles within the team is. And everyone feels like there should be starters within the team. It's like why Jesus left Man City in the first place, because he felt like he was a starter. I feel like maybe players become a bit more settled. No one gets the chance to build consistency and all that kind of stuff. And as I said, I mean, you've seen it with Chelsea. I've said it before. There is no club better at ruining strikers better than Chelsea. Like, so it's one of those things. Whereas I feel like Poch and Chelsea, this transfer window have gone for player profile more than big names, and I would like to see how it plays out at least to January before we score and start splashing big money on another striker and all that kind of stuff, and also wait for Nkunku to come back. But obviously, that's the last talk before we.
I'm just quick touch Liverpool. Just quick touch Liverpool. For me, the biggest worry is because you start talking about it, Rich, as well. What you kind of thought of Liverpool. Obviously, they need another DM because I thought they lacked that holding midfielder. But obviously, for me, honestly, bro, I don't know. Like, I think Van Dijk has gone off it a bit. I still think he's a very good defender, and I still think he's good enough to be a title level defender, which can lead the team to a title. But I think Konate is a fraud, bro. I'll be very real. I just don't think he's good enough, bro. I think that guy is just I don't know. Excuse my language. I think he's a bozo. I'll be real. I don't rate him like that. And I don't think Liverpool have any centre back cover which is good enough, which can be a solid centre back which you can rely on for a title aspiration. Gomez for me fell off, which is sad. I like Gomez.
That was the biggest fall off.
Who's that?
As well.
Gomez.
So
Gomez.
But people are
Injuries did kind of
there's
like
an injury thing, but he's not the level where he was. Let's be
yeah,
real.
but look, I think with Gomez, always potential. No one knew how good he really was going to be anyway. It was like, okay, cool, he's young, you know, there's potential there. But it's not like when I saw potential, I thought, okay, cool, this guy's going to be next Rio. I thought, okay, cool, he's gonna be a good defender, solid career. But when you're playing at a team like Liverpool and you got centre backs like, you know, Van Dijk, and then you bring in Konate and you got Matip, it's going to be hard for him to get into the team. So it might just be a thing where he has to go to a Crystal Palace and build his reputation up as a centre back.
You don't think he's at the level of Liverpool.
100%, 100%.
So, but yeah.
All right. Just one quick one before we move on to the whole James Harden saga. As we now know, 115 million Caicedo has signed for Chelsea. What do you think this move does for Chelsea, and how much do you feel like it improves us by?
For me, what Chelsea are doing, I'm very impressed with it. Like, you know, like you see me, I like a project, innit? So this project, what Chelsea are building, it looks very, very good in terms of, you know, the class of player that they're bringing in, the type of player, i.e. young players, and they're not afraid to spend. And I always had this feeling with Todd Bowley because I love American sports, and I know he's part owner of the LA Dodgers. And in Major League Baseball, obviously there's no salary cap, but he spends. Yeah. And the LA Dodgers have arguably the highest payroll in the MLB, and they're always spending. So his thing is, he's probably realized that, you know what, we're not in Europe this year. We're going to get an FFP band at some point when we get back into Europe. So while we're not in Europe, let's just splash the cash and buy everyone. Because if you look at all the players they've signed, like, you got all the marquee ones that they're signing, but there's other young. I see they just bought some next Donny called like Brian Washington, some South American Don. Then you bought Piers Kennedy, he's a 16-year-old wonder kid. You got Andre Santos. Like, the profile of players are very young and, you know, wonder kid-esque and young talent. I want to see how they all develop and if they all get an opportunity, or what are they trying to do. Is Todd Bowley trying to use it as a feeder club for Strasbourg to send certain players on loan? But in terms of that, I think Chelsea are going to have at least, I'll say, a top 3 midfield in the Premier League. Like, if you start naming it, Enzo, Caicedo, Lavia, and then you got all the number 10 and Cuckoo. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, they've got a top 3, and when it comes to centre mids, yeah, top 3 minimum. Because Enzo is a baller, Caicedo, he's a baller in terms of what he does, and Lavia, like, it's crazy that Lavia even decided to go there, knowing that he's gonna have those 2 guys ahead of him. So now, if you want to play like a destroyer midfield with athleticism and technique as well, you can go and play Caicedo, Lavia, and Enzo and be good. Do you know what I mean? Or you can switch it up and then put another creative player in the middle. So I think what Chelsea are building is really good. It'll be interesting to see. Want to see how they perform against the bigger teams. Obviously, they had Liverpool yesterday, but Liverpool's still in transition. See against United, against the City, against the Arsenal, against the Newcastle, and then that's when we'll see, you know, what they're really saying, innit? But I think I'm really impressed with what Chelsea are building, to be honest.
I mean, I agree with you as well. I feel like the biggest thing for me, anyways, I feel like with the Caicedo deal, and I think as great as he is defensively and stuff, and I'll keep banging on about it, is how much it allows Enzo to play further up the pitch. Because, I mean, in terms of, like, what's funny, I remember when Enzo had his debut against Fulham, innit? And I'm happy to say I was in the stadium to witness that live anyways. That first half was magical, innit? But people were comparing him to Jorginho, innit? And I've always said the player that Enzo reminds me of the most, and I don't know if it will sound crazy or not, but to me it's Fabregas.
Oh, mine is Verratti. He reminds me of Verratti. But Verratti not Verratti is a 6. Verratti has an 8. The technique, the way he drops the shoulder, his height, his positional play, I think Verratti.
No, well, I don't know what you mean, but I'm talking about in terms of, like, when you talk about a midfielder that's able to pick the ball from defense and his range of passing and is able to drive the ball. Like I just see Fabregas
that's
in
high
the
praise, you know. Fabregas, that's high praise.
No, and that's how much. And that's how much I rate.
He's a baller. Like,
but that's how much I rate.
But we know
Obviously,
Fabregas was a baller from when he was like, as soon as he hit that Arsenal team, he was the guy. Like,
Yeah, but
yeah.
I think Enzo deserves that praise. Like
yeah,
Benfica,
I think no,
World
I'm a
Cup,
big fan of
Argentina, even
Enzo, but
now.
comparing him to Fabregas now, after
I'm talking about. I'm talking about. I think he's going to accomplish what Fabregas. But I'm talking about in
no,
terms
no,
of
I know
play
that.
style. I'm talking his play style. It just reminds me a lot of Fabregas. You know, someone that's always just forward thinking.
Oh, yeah,
Like there were
yeah,
just passes that I feel like poor progression, and obviously in professional football at the highest level, you feel like this stuff should be like second
no,
nature to these guys.
yeah,
But then I look at another £100 million footballer in Declan Rice, and that guy does not know what ball progression is. He is sideways man and back pass, and obviously he wants to drive the ball
But
for.
he's
I
a
give him
DM
credit
though,
for
so
that.
realistically,
So,
you can't really
but
compare.
he's playing that he played as he's playing as an 8 sometimes and stuff. But I'm just talking about in terms of when you look at £100 million, even if it's a DM, yeah.
you
But
can
I'm saying
say that.
even if
Look
it's a
at
DM,
Rodri. Rodri's a DM, but Rodri's
yeah,
still
and Rodri's poor progression as well. Even flipping Jorginho as well, he knows about poor progression as well. So I'm just saying in terms of, but then I think at the quickness at which he does it in, he's like he scans the pitch before the ball even comes to him, so he's
yeah.
able to play the pass really quick. So as
Mm.
I said, it's one of those things that he's able to progress the ball really well and moving him further up the pitch. I feel like can only do great things for Chelsea, and I feel like that's the biggest thing the Caicedo thing does for us. So yeah. But anyways, enough on football. Let's move over to the James Harden saga. So obviously you can see he came up. You know what's fun about the James Harden thing? So the first video I saw it on, yeah, was the place for Muse, innit? And you know when those kind of guys start reports and stuff, you always think it's AI and it's fake, innit?
Yeah,
So then I had to go and search up thing more again, and then I saw what's his name, Shams reports, and I was like, damn, this shit is really real. I think
Yeah.
yeah.
you're right. I didn't take it serious at first. I saw it and like it was on the TL, and I was like, yeah, this ain't true. And then, like you said, I saw Shams repost, and I was like, okay, cool. Let me
Yeah.
deep it in again. And I was like, oh shit,
He was
I
like,
hear it.
oh, he was
No,
like,
I saw it on
Daryl Morey is a liar.
Shams post on Twitter, innit? So I think
Yeah.
wait, let me just double check if it's a real Twitter account, like a real Shams Twitter account. I was like, oh yeah, it is. I see the
You know,
million
AI is
followers.
a real thing nowadays. So I'm telling you, I had to start. But then, and when you listen to it, it was quite funny because he even repeats it. He said, Daniel Murray is a liar and I'll never play for an organization he's a part of again. Then he's like, he took a pause and repeated it again. Daryl
Yeah.
Morey is a liar and I would never play for him again. But where this comes from now, obviously, because I've seen that even what's his name, Carey was getting onto Ward because Ward tweeted the disgruntled Harden, blah blah blah, and I think what's his name, Carey was like, is he disgruntled or is he holding Daryl Morey accountable for the way he handles contract negotiation? Which might be true. Daryl Morey might have done dirty by him for this time. My issue with James Harden now is how many times, because at Harden we saw at Houston we saw the same thing. Whereas in you can see they said he came out of shape and whatnot, blah blah blah. All right, cool. You granted him his wish. He gets sent to Brooklyn, where he gets both Kyrie and KD, which I believe, if not for injuries, that team would have won a chip. But for whatever reason, it stops working again. You start asking out, oh, I don't want to play anymore. You go to Philly. I remember the first press conference when he said Philly was always the place I wanted to come to. It was just not possible at the time. You get Joel Embiid. You first of all stink up in your first season, then you come into this time, you put in a Hall of Fame performance in the first game against the Celtics, and then you only give us one more good game, and you go missing for the rest of the series, and now you kind of won out again. And it's like, there's one thing to ring chase, but I mean, you're James Harden, for like God's sake. There's only so many times that someone can try and put you in the perfect situation and stuff like that. And as I said, Daryl Morey could have done wrong by him this time around. But then again, you saw what Daryl Morey did for him at Houston, whereas he was one of the most protected superstars of all time during his time at Houston. So it's just one thing, and everyone talks about now the new CBA, player empowerment, he's ruining it and all that kind of stuff. Like, because I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, he's James Harden. He's always gonna get his money. But what about the role players that won't always get the money, and then the CBA starts affecting those kind of guys? So what kind of conversations do you feel like is going to be around James Harden going forward?
Look,
you got Sam.
Oh, cool. With James Harden, I think it's going to be a situation where we start looking at him in that same conversation as Westbrook. Like, in the sense of how many teams can you keep moving to and you blame everyone else and you don't look at yourself? Because
Okay, but here's the difference.
but
Sorry to
wait.
cut you off, but can I just
Huh?
say the difference? The difference is Westbrook did not force his way out of any situation. I mean, when you look at
No, but
the
if you get traded for a reason because the team's not feeling you. If it was that guy, you wouldn't get traded, right? It's not like he said he forced them to
no,
trade him. They traded him because they thought this guy's not a right fit. But I'm just saying, in terms of the
yeah,
teams hopping, that's where there's a lot of similarities because it's like, James, you've been on so many teams. What do you want to do? And I think he's getting that
I think
old
I think
school.
it's more what's it called? It's more comparable to KD than more Westbrook.
Nah. Because
Nah, I'll tell you, because I mean, if you look at the Westbrook situation, and sorry to just cut you off, but I mean, if you just look at the OKC one, they had a mutual agreement because of the rebuild they wanted to do after the Lillard shot. Then he gets sent to Wizards, and then obviously the opportunity to go to LA comes back, and to play for your hometown. I mean, it's not an opportunity that you can't turn down. So obviously he now goes there to LA, and then everybody knows what happens with LA and all that kind. And obviously he actually went to Houston first, didn't it? But then I think the only one that I would have said that he kind of caused maybe some kind of friction was in Houston when there was complaints about he didn't like the way James Harden was coming in late to practice and everything. But Westbrook left all the organizations on good terms,
No,
apart
but I'm
from
not even talking
the
about in terms of how they've left. I'm just saying in terms of how many teams they've been on. You have to
okay,
start
yeah,
looking at that similarity. Like,
in that case, yeah.
okay,
But I'm saying
what's the issue? And I think I'm looking at it like Harden. I think Harden's content with, okay, cool. I'm not going to win a chip. Let me just get money and just go back to being the old Harden where I can just put up numbers because I don't know why during the offseason he was so adamant that he wants to go back to Houston. Houston's team was smelly. It's a team of rookies and they weren't going to do nothing. So what was he going there for? To kind of stat pad, get his numbers back up and make it seem like he's still that guy. I don't think any major team will want him, maybe apart from the Clippers, but I don't think any team that's looking to win is going to try and get James Harden because he's not that guy anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People have seen him on these teams, and when he's the second fiddle, he's not effective. Like we've seen him with Joel Embiid, we've seen him with KD and Kyrie, which he jumped ship on them. You know, seen him in Houston with Russ. So it's like, okay, cool. What do you want from your career now? He knows, regardless if he wins a chip or not, he's still going to be in that same bracket that he's in at the moment. So him winning the chip is not a big deal for him, as I see it, to be fair. But I don't know where he's going. Hence why he
but
said, "Oh,
but that's funny because I've all the ringless guys in his of all the ringless guys, obviously, when you look at Chris Paul, Westbrook, Lillard, Harden, and all of those kind of guys, I mean, Westbrook, Lillard, and Chris Paul have openly come out to say, I'm going to try my hardest to win a ring, but it's not the all end. Like, the sun is still going to rise the same and whatnot. James Harden is the only one that comes out and talks about how championship is the number one, and he doesn't get his credit because he hasn't won a championship and all that kind of stuff. So, the way he portrays himself, obviously action speaks louder than words, but this is why I said it's funny because you're saying it's the stuff about the money and all that kind of stuff. But the other guys that do tell you that, you know what, a ring will be nice to win, but you know what, there's bigger things in life, always seem to be doing more of the right things to try and win a ring more than
exactly,
he does.
100%. Because if that was the case, you would see him saying, "Look, I'm open to take less money and go to a team that has an opportunity of winning," instead of saying, "I want to go back to Houston so you could be by the strip club and getting up numbers." I don't get it, and I don't see Harden having that pool anymore. No one's like, "Okay, yeah, we need James Harden." If you can get him to be your sixth man and he can get you points off the bench, why not? But to be your starter, he's not the same offensively,
The thing
and
is, he can just not for max money.
Huh?
He can just for not for max money.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
want to
of
pay over
course.
the odds.
But I'm saying, in terms of no
team
team that's going to try and win a ring is going to bring him on, because if you look at him defensively, he's poor, and offensively, he's not the same guy.
Well,
So
no, I disagree. No, I feel like I agree more with Richard's point. I feel like if the money wasn't an issue, I think a lot of teams would bring him in. Maybe not as the main guy, but as a complementary piece.
that's the whole
You
point,
got to
though.
think about it, he can still assist, he can still rebound
That's my
well.
point, though. If he went to win a chip, then it wouldn't be about the money. You say, okay, cool. Let me come on a decent level in terms of pay where I can go into a team. But if you're still trying to get I don't know, 4 years, 180, you're not going to a team that's going to win a chip because all the teams that want to win a chip, they're stacked already. So you're going to a Utah, you're going to a Charlotte, you're going to an OKC. That's where you're going to go. So we'll see.
We'll see. Do you have anything else to add on that, Kojo?
I mean, no, not really. I'll be very real. I'm just kind of getting bored of it. I'll be real. Like,
Well, as I said, the James Harden saga is something that's just very funny because, as I said, we've seen this so many times now. I mean, 3 organizations in a row. I mean, at one point, there's a common denominator. And as I said, it could be a situation whereas in he was actually done dirty this time, innit? But then when people then look at your track record, so say, oh, you've done it there, you've done it there, you've done it here. Is like,
I mean, like,
people
to be
are going
honest
to
with
find
you,
it
I
hard
just
to
look at you got to
believe.
be professional, man. Like, and then you're under contract. You say you want to come Philly. You say this is a team for you. You got a good relationship with Joel Embiid. It looks like it. Like Joel Embiid actually really likes you, bro. He said, "I want to come back." Da, da, da. This season was a better season in terms of how you made it a bit more competitive with Boston. You know, you had some good wins, you had some good moments. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had a good season in terms of being effective on the team offensively. Like, I don't understand why you want to move out. Obviously, yeah, you didn't get a long-term contract, but look, it's life. You don't get everything in life. You got to move on. Stop being a baby. Like, not gonna try and cry at a situation. Just play the game of basketball. You're in a good team. Just do what you can. Simple as that. Like, you're not gonna get everything you want, bro. Like, move on from it. That's how it is, bro. So,
Hey.
I think another reason why he might be worried, because I think, especially with the Sixers, they're pushing more towards Maxey being their number 2 option. So I think that's playing a part that he doesn't really want to be a number 3 option, and he feels that he's not valued as he should as a so-called superstar in the league. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. I guess he's going to get his fat suit ready again and then get traded.
All right.
Let's see what happens.
On to the final topic, obviously, because as I said, we are sports platforms, so we're going to cover everything. Joshua fought on the weekend, and I said the discourse behind Anthony Joshua is very, very. I don't know if it's toxic is the right word or it's funny because I feel like he's always, especially in his last 2 fights, he's just constantly in a lose-lose situation. Obviously, you know everything that happened with Delia White, failed drug test, blah blah blah, which she signed up for random testing and stuff. So we're gonna have to wait to see what happens with that. But then he fought I keep forgetting his name. Who's the guy fought again?
Who, Hellenius?
Hellenius, yeah, that's his name, innit? He fought Hellenius, and it was a thing where it's gone several rounds. You can see the blood on his face, which shows he's been in some sort of a battle. And then people are like, obviously, Wilder took him out and fought 1 round. And if Joshua took him out in 1 round, he'd be like, you should be doing that. Now it's gone 7 rounds. People are saying he's not the guy he once was. He needs to let his hands go. And now I've seen, because Tony Bellew said this, and someone else said this as well. I can't remember. What's his name? Begins with a D. Anyway, it's not important. They said that he shouldn't take the Wilder fight next.
David Hay.
Huh?
Was it David Hay?
No, I think David Hay said that Anthony Joshua shouldn't want to fight Wilder, but is the guy on Sky Sports. The things that
not Darren Barker.
Danny Wilson, something. Oh no, is it Danny Wilson? No,
not Darren Barker, no.
No. If I'm even gonna find it, but hold on 2 seconds. It's Johnny something. Johnny
Johnny Nelson.
Johnny Nelson, yeah. I don't know how Johnny Wilson keeps coming to my head, but yeah, Johnny Nelson.
That's Formula 1. That's why. That's alcohol. Formula 1.
Yeah. He said it as well that Joshua shouldn't fight Wilder because Joshua seems like a fighter that always second guesses everything he wants to do at the moment, and if you second guess against Wilder, obviously you get knocked spark out. Where do you guys actually see Joshua? Do you see him as a fighter that is still learning and improving, and he's showing he's improving, or do you feel like he's a guy that, as people are now saying, he's on the downhill, second guessing himself, and he shouldn't be taking these big fights just yet?
You know, over AJ, obviously, I didn't watch the fight. I forgot about it, be real. If it was AJ White, I'd definitely be locked into it. But coming back to the main question, I think AJ's trying to adjust a lot of things in his game. Do you know what I'm saying? Which obviously, a lot of people are kind of a bit bemused by it because obviously it's coming at this late stage where you're 32. You know, this should be kind of a norm to you kind of know what you need to do as a boxer, how to kind of adjust yourself to certain opponents. But I think he's kind of adjusting his game, and it's kind of like match by match instead of like kind of training session to training session, which is a bit weird. And I feel like that's why you're kind of seeing the slow attack from Joshua. Like people said, Wilder took him out in the 4th round. It took AJ 3 rounds later to kind of really get into the mojo.
Well, Wilder did in the first round, but yeah.
Oh, what first round? So 6 rounds.
Yeah.
Wow, that's even worse. But I feel like that's the situation with AJ where people are looking at it like, yo, it seems a bit more slower, like progression here. And obviously, he had that big setback losing to Ruiz, and then obviously the 2 back-to-back defeats to Usyk. So it's a bit of a sticky one. I want to say he's finished because obviously he's still in that kind of leeway to get that championship fight. Obviously, potentially with Tyson Fury. And obviously up next he does want Wilder. And I think Wilder is nothing with that. It's nothing special. So I feel like that's a fight which can go either way. I think they're both on the same level, kind of. So I don't feel like AJ's below Wilder. I think it's definitely an even match potentially. But I think we just all know AJ is not the best pound for pound heavyweight fighter in the world. That's what it is. He's way below Tyson Fury. He's a mile off Usyk. Maybe you could say maybe Wilder because in terms of form, but to say he's finished is a bit ridiculous. He's only lost 2 fights and he's won his last 3 matches. And yeah, it's not been the most exciting style, but boxing is never going to be exciting all the time. You know what I'm saying? Something you got to get the result. So I think that conversation or that sort of saying that he's finished can only be resolved if he does lose to like Wilder or any sort of significant fighter that he comes up next. So yeah.
You see me, yeah? I take everything that people say with a pinch of salt because everyone likes to jump on a bandwagon, didn't it? And a lot of these people that are saying that AJ's finished, they don't watch boxing. They're casual fans. So all they do is they just come and watch the big fights and they expect a certain outcome. And yes, the heavyweight division is about big punching and stuff like that. But you have to bear in mind that AJ's got a new coach and he's adjusting to that. So all these new fights that he's having, these are basically real life sparring sessions for him, innit? So this is him trying to figure out a game plan because against the better fighters, you can't just go and fight a Fury or Wilder or Usyk and just say, let me blaze you out of the park. You can't do that. So these fights here are tune-ups for him to say, okay, cool. Let me focus and work on my combinations, my jabs, my this and that, because these are the same guys that are going to say, Wilder knocked out Helenius in 1 round, but AJ went 7. But then these are the same guys in the same sentence will say, but Wilder ain't a great boxer. He hasn't got technique. So if you take that into consideration, if you're going to fight a better boxer that's got technique and got power, who are you going to give the advantage to? You're more likely to say, I think if AJ can box and stay away from Wilder's right hand, AJ can easily outpoint him or knock him out. So I'm not taking anything like this serious. I'm saying, okay, cool. Yes, AJ's got a lot of work to do. And what people don't realize is AJ got into boxing late. He got into boxing when he was like 18, 19. So he hasn't had that pedigree of having 300 amateur fights like a Usyk or Lomachenko, fighting different styles, going to the Olympics and winning. Yes, he went to the Olympics and won, but he was very raw. So we still got to give him time and give him that consideration. Me, I'm a Niger man. So I'm always going to back my Niger brother and say, cool, I'm going to hope that he can keep on improving. And in these fights where people are, saying he's an underdog or they're getting at him, he shows these people and shuts them up and say, cool, this is what I've been working on, this is what I'm doing, because I don't think Wilder's that special. These are the same guys that were saying, Wilder's going to knock out Fury. And then what happened? He got outboxed until he dropped him, but then Fury did the Undertaker
3 times
and got back up. So I don't take anything into this. I just want to see AJ keep improving. I think he should take the Wilder fight next. You got to fight the best to be the best, isn't it? So just fight Wilder, then fight, Fury or Usyk, and keep it moving.
Because again, nothing more to say. I agree 100% with what Sam said.
Yep.
I think people just need to kind of realize that because AJ is not the best pound for pound heavyweight, it doesn't mean he's not good.
Exactly.
Let's put respect on his name. I don't know his over record. I think he's got more than 25 wins. He's only lost twice, something like that. But the guy was a 2-time heavyweight champion. You got to put respect on that. Do you know what I'm saying? And
it's some. You need a bigger platform. You know your sports.
Oh, come on, man. I try.
Get on Sky Sports. I might not fully agree with everything he says, but I've always said that, obviously, giving an opinion is not what makes your take bad. There's your reason behind it. If you can convince me, then it means you know things. So, but as I said, I 100% agree with what Sam says. It's not something you can always go in gun blazing and stuff. And this Amanda, he's still building up his new confidence. He's still with a new coach and whatnot. And as I said, if he goes and he gets knocked out by I think Hellenius, everyone's gonna start saying, but he should have been more defensive. He should have used his jab
Exactly.
more, all
Yeah,
that kind of
again,
stuff.
like
He's
people,
not gonna
people
win.
don't think, boxing is a
Yeah.
difficult sport. You can't just go up to someone,
Yeah.
start running, and stop
Like, I
saying
mean, at the end of the day, Hellenius is a
Like, it doesn't
professional
work
for a
like that.
reason. At the end of the day, and it's not easy to just go in. And I think at the end says it the best of when in the younger days when Joshua was going out and he was blazing everyone, it's because he didn't know any better. So and Joshua's a physical dominant guy, so he's able to. But then when you start going facing the people like Usyk, the ones that as you said, have had like 5,000 boxing, you go against Fury, you go
Exactly,
against
bro.
Wilder. I mean, especially with Wilder. I mean, say what you want about Wilder's technique and whatever, but he is still the hardest punch in the division. So
But
No
yeah,
one's denying that. We all
no,
say
that's
if
what
he
I'm
don't-
saying.
if he
So
can't
if
hit
you
you,
go in,
it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
no, but that's what I'm
And I
saying.
think
So,
with
but
AJ's
if
game
you go
now,
into
it's more
Wilder and you start
defensive
trading
minded.
punches with him, he's gonna catch you.
Yeah, of
And
course, yeah.
yeah, so it's one of those things you need to learn the stuff. And Joshua said the best. All that matters is what his trainer tells him and whatnot. Even though I do feel like he's become a bit. I don't know if it's sensitive, but I've always said one thing about fighters. There's always some kind of madness between, like, no matter how good PR they want to have in front of the
They got a
on the
loose
camera.
screw, man.
Yeah, all of the, like, especially the very best to have a loose screw to be going to do what they go and do. So yeah, big up Joshua. We're still Team AJ.
Come on.
As I said, his name is Femi for now because
Oluwaseni or something. Come on, you already
I
know.
think his name is Femi, innit? His Nigerian name.
Yeah,
So
Femi
yeah,
Oluwaseni something.
if Britain don't want him no more, Nigerians will still claim them more on this side. But yeah.
Come on.
But yeah, that's all we have time for today. Thank you for listening to another pod. We're gonna shoot off and watch United hopefully disgrace themselves tonight. As I said, as you can see, it's been scrolling at the bottom. Follow us on all our social media platforms at outbounds_UK. Sam and Kodra's socials will be down in the link below. And until next week, thank you for tuning in. Safe.